The steakhouse gleamed with golden chandeliers, polished marble floors, and velvet drapes, a place built for the wealthy, where every table whispered of power and fortune. Among the elites who gathered that night sat a man who seemed out of place. His clothes were simple, his expression quiet, and he kept to himself. He ordered nothing extravagant, just a steak medium rare. The staff barely noticed him at first. He was just another guest, not dressed like the CEOs or politicians surrounding him, but his calm eyes scanned the room as if measuring every detail, every person, every gesture. As the laughter of the rich echoed around him, his waitress approached. She was young, her uniform crisp but worn from long hours. She moved with forced politeness, hiding the weight she carried. Yet her hands trembled ever so slightly as she placed his glass of water down. When she returned with his order, she did something strange. She slipped a folded note beneath the plate, her eyes avoiding his. The stranger paused, sensing something unusual. He picked it up carefully, hidden from view, and unfolded it. The words on the page made his heart stop. Whatever this waitress knew, it was more than just a message. It was a plea and a warning. The room continued its golden celebration, but for him, the night had just taken a dangerous turn, and this was only the beginning. The note was brief, written in hurried strokes, as though every second mattered. Don't trust anyone here. They know who you are. His eyes sharpened. No one in the restaurant should have known his real identity. For weeks he had moved through the city in secrecy, living quietly, dressed as an ordinary man. Few knew that behind the plain jacket and steady eyes was a fortune that dwarfed every billionaire in that room. He was not there to eat. He was there to test. But now someone had already exposed him. The waitress lingered across the room, pretending to polish glasses, her eyes flicking nervously toward him. She was not lying. He could feel the urgency behind her warning. Round him, the elites carried on their charade, toasting with champagne, mocking the staff, acting as if the world belonged only to them. But under their polished smiles, he now saw Ithaway. Their eyes occasionally darted toward his table, their whispers disguised as laughter. He had walked into a trap, and the only person trying to save him was the one person no one else in the room respected. The waitress. The game had shifted, and soon the truth would unravel. The stranger kept eating slowly, careful not to draw attention, but his thoughts raced back to the waitress. Who was she? Why risk herself for him? The truth came in fragments. Her shoes were worn thin, her uniform patched at the seams. She wasn't like the others who worked there. She moved differently, not just with service, but with caution, like someone carrying secrets too heavy for her age. He watched as one of the managers snapped at her, his words sharp, his hand too firm on her arm. She flinched but kept her silence, bowing her head. In that moment, he saw it clearly. This was not just a restaurant, it was a cage. The elites weren't just customers, they were the owners, the puppeteers, the ones who decided whose life had value and whose didn't. The waitress was their shadow, forced to endure their cruelty, and now she had risked her position, her safety, and maybe even her life to warn him. The note wasn't just a warning, it was a cry for help. The stranger leaned back, his eyes darkening. For weeks, he had hidden his power, but tonight, because of a trembling hand that dared to defy, he knew he could not leave quietly. The night would not end the way they expected. The mood in the restaurant shifted. It was subtle at first, but the stranger noticed it instantly. Doors closed tighter. Guards in dark suits moved closer to the walls, their eyes scanning the room like predators. One of the elites rose, lifting a glass of wine. His words boomed across the hall, praising wealth, mocking poverty, glorifying greed. The crowd cheered, but beneath the performance, the stranger recognized the maneuver. This was no toast. It was a distraction. They were closing in. The waitress moved closer to his table again, clearing dishes that weren't hers to clear, whispering under her breath without looking at him. He caught only fragments tonight. Plan, escape, before she was yanked away by another waiter. Stranger placed his fork down slowly, disguising his tension behind a calm face. They thought they had cornered him. They thought the ordinary man at their table was prey. But they were about to find out. They had made a fatal mistake. The night was no longer theirs. The trap snapped shut when the host of the evening approached his table, smiling with venom hidden beneath charm. He spoke words laced with poison, hinting at debts, secrets, and betrayals. Around them, laughter continued, but every eye watched, waiting for the downfall of the quiet man. The stranger finally stood, his chair scraped against marble, the sound slicing through the room. The elites leaned forward, hungry to see him break, but instead, he reached into his jacket and placed a black card on the table. Silence fell. That card was not just money, it was power. It was recognition, the kind only the true elite carried. And suddenly, they realized this was not a poor man. This was him, the one whose wealth could erase their fortunes in a single transaction. The one they had mocked, targeted, and tried to trap. The waitress gasped softly from across the room. She had saved the most powerful man they had ever insulted. And now, everything shifted. The predators had become prey. The stranger's voice was calm, but it cut through the air like steel. He revealed what he knew: how this restaurant was built on exploitation, how its owners bled their workers dry while serving the wealthy. Every detail was laid bare, every truth undeniable. The elites shifted uncomfortably, their arrogance dissolving into panic. The guards hesitated, unsure whether to act. The staff, the ones they had silenced for years, watched in awe as the truth finally found its voice. Then he did what no one expected. He turned not to the elites, but to the waitress. He placed the black card in her trembling hands, telling her without words that her loyalty, her courage, had rewritten everything. The restaurant would not close on his downfall. It would close on theirs. By morning, their empire would collapse, their wealth exposed as fragile shadows, and the waitress, the girl they had treated like nothing, would stand at the center of a new beginning. The stranger walked out into the night, unseen, unbroken, leaving behind a room of shattered arrogance. And for the first time, the waitress smiled not with fear, but with freedom. Justice had been served.